Jennifer Grey, the name alone takes millions back to the golden summer of 1987, when Dirty Dancing hit theaters and forever changed pop culture. She was the face of innocence, the girl who had the time of her life. With that unforgettable smile, that natural charm, and her magnetic chemistry with Patrick Swayze, Jennifer became America's sweetheart overnight. But behind that glow of fame and success, her life took turns no one could have imagined. This is the story of Jennifer Grey, a woman whose rise to fame came with a price that would follow her for decades. Jennifer was born on March 26, 1960, in New York City, into a family deeply rooted in Hollywood. Her father, Joel Grey, was an Oscar-winning actor, and her mother, Jo Wilder, was a former actress and singer. From the very beginning, Jennifer was surrounded by the world of art, performance, and expectations. But even though she had talent in her blood, she had to fight for her own identity, to be known not as Joel Grey's daughter, but as Jennifer Grey, the star. Her early career started in the 1980s, with small roles in films like Reckless and The Cotton Club. But it was her role as Jeannie Bueller in Ferris Bueller's Day Off that made people take notice. Hollywood started paying attention. There was something refreshing about her. She wasn't the typical perfect face of Hollywood. She was real, authentic, and full of emotion. And then came Dirty Dancing. Dirty Dancing was more than a movie. It was a cultural phenomenon. The chemistry between Jennifer Grey and Patrick Swayze was electric, and their performance became legendary. The film grossed over $200 million worldwide, and Jennifer became a global icon almost overnight. Everyone wanted to be her. Everyone adored her. But fame, as it often does, came with its shadows. Just as her career was soaring, tragedy struck. In August 1987, just days before Dirty Dancing was released, Jennifer and her then-boyfriend Matthew Broderick were involved in a car accident while vacationing in Ireland. Their car collided head-on with another vehicle, killing two people instantly, a mother and her daughter. Jennifer survived with minor injuries, but the emotional trauma stayed with her forever. The tragedy changed her life. While the movie catapulted her into stardom, Jennifer found herself unable to celebrate. In interviews, she later revealed that she felt haunted, unable to reconcile the joy of success with the grief and guilt of what had happened. It was a burden that would follow her for years, casting a shadow over her shining moment. The fame that followed felt empty. The red carpets, the interviews, the fans, nothing could erase the guilt or the pain. She retreated from the spotlight, unsure of how to move forward. Hollywood wanted her, but Jennifer wasn't ready to face that world again. Then came another twist in her story, one that would completely change her career and her identity. Feeling pressured by Hollywood's beauty standards, Jennifer decided to undergo plastic surgery to correct what she called her slight bump on her nose. But the results were devastating. After the surgery, she looked so different that even close friends didn't recognize her. She once famously said, "I went into the operating room a celebrity, and came out anonymous." The procedure, which was meant to help her career, instead destroyed it. Directors stopped calling, and the woman who once had the world at her feet now found herself invisible in the very industry she helped define. Jennifer later described that period as one of deep confusion and loss. She felt like she had erased herself, both literally and symbolically. Hollywood moved on, and she struggled to find her place again. But despite everything, Jennifer refused to give up. In the following years, she began rebuilding her life, slowly, quietly, and away from the spotlight. She focused on personal growth, took on smaller roles, and even made a stunning comeback years later in Dancing with the Stars, where she showed the world that her spirit was still unbreakable. However, behind her smile and her graceful performances, Jennifer's life was far from easy. The physical pain from old injuries, the emotional toll of her past, and the pressure of being forever remembered as Baby from Dirty Dancing, it all weighed heavily on her. And as she turned 65, fans began to realize how much she had truly endured, from fame to tragedy, from loss to rediscovery. Her story isn't just about a movie star, it's about a woman who lived through guilt, loss, and identity crises, yet somehow still found a way to keep going. When we last left Jennifer Grey, she had just survived the kind of tragedy that could shatter anyone's spirit. A fatal car crash that took 2 lives, the crushing guilt that followed, and a career that was never the same after a single surgery. But what happened after that is even more devastating. Jennifer's story after the fame of Dirty Dancing is a haunting reminder that sometimes the hardest battles aren't the ones we face in front of cameras, they're the silent wars we fight within ourselves. After her nose surgery, which she called the worst decision of my life, Hollywood turned its back on her. Casting directors didn't recognize her anymore, and the roles that once poured in suddenly disappeared. Imagine being one of the most recognizable faces of the 1980s, only to wake up one morning and realize the very thing that made you famous is gone. That's what Jennifer lived through. She once said in an interview, "I spent so much of my life being famous for something I didn't feel like I was anymore. It was like I had lost my face and my identity in one night." For years, she tried to rebuild her life quietly. She took occasional roles in TV and film, Friends, The West Side Waltz, Bounce, but nothing ever reached the same level as Dirty Dancing. Casting agents didn't see her as Jennifer Grey. They saw her as that actress who looks a bit like Jennifer Grey. That kind of invisibility can break even the strongest soul. But Jennifer didn't quit. In 2001, she married actor and director Clark Gregg, best known for his role as Agent Coulson in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The two shared a beautiful daughter, Stella, and for a time, Jennifer finally found peace. Away from Hollywood's noise, she focused on being a wife, a mother, and a woman trying to rediscover herself. However, fate wasn't done testing her yet. In 2010, while preparing for Dancing with the Stars, Jennifer began experiencing severe neck pain. Doctors discovered that not only had she sustained serious damage from the car accident decades earlier, but her spinal cord was dangerously compressed, so much that one wrong move could have left her paralyzed. During routine pre-show checkups, doctors also found something even more alarming, a cancerous nodule in her thyroid. It was a terrifying discovery that came out of nowhere. Jennifer underwent surgery to remove the tumor, and fortunately, the cancer hadn't spread. But the near-death experiences forced her to confront everything she'd suppressed: the trauma from the crash, the career loss, the identity crisis. She later said, "I was saved by that show. If I hadn't done Dancing with the Stars, I might not be alive. That medical exam literally saved my life." Her time on the show became a story of redemption. Week after week, Jennifer danced through pain, both physical and emotional, and by the finale, she had completely won the hearts of America once again. When she lifted that Dancing with the Stars trophy, it wasn't just a TV victory. It was the symbolic rebirth of a woman who refused to be defined by tragedy. But behind that victory, Jennifer's life was still layered with heartbreak. Her marriage to Clark Gregg, once filled with love and laughter, slowly began to crumble under years of emotional distance. In 2021, after nearly 2 decades together, the couple announced their divorce. Jennifer shared a deeply emotional post, writing, "We remain close and deeply grateful for the life we've shared, and the wonderful daughter we've raised." For a woman who had already faced so much loss, the end of her marriage was another painful chapter. She once said that she felt like she had to keep reinventing herself just to survive. Today, at 65, Jennifer Grey still carries the weight of everything she's been through: the guilt of that car crash, the identity lost to surgery, the health scares, the heartbreak of divorce, and the haunting feeling that Hollywood never truly gave her the second chance she deserved.